I'm Jess.
And I'm Jenn. We're just two run-of-the-mill casting directors looking to have a little fun while tearing down the curtain on casting, the process, and how the sausage gets made.
So many misconceptions have come from outside sources, so we're here to clear the air and make sure everyone gets a full picture of all that goes into casting your favorite TV shows and films. All the while, we'll be drinking some amazing cocktails and spilling the tea on some of the most outrageous stories we've come across in our careers.
Maybe we'll even bring on a few exciting guests along the way.
Cheers!
Cheers.
Good evening.
Alas, we are finally recording an episode in the same time zone, and boy, oh boy, was it a delightful one.
We welcome you back to Tipsy Casting after a whirlwind week. I'm Jenn, and this is my co-host Jess. Thank you all for tuning in yet again this week. We have an amazing episode in store for you, but before we dive in, we have a few housekeeping items to chat about. First of all, we want to thank each and every one of our amazing listeners, both new and OGs. We're getting close to wrapping up our first season, and we couldn't have asked for a better audience to come along our journey into the podcasting world.
Speaking of wrapping up, we only have one more episode until we wrap up season 1 of Tipsy Casting, and we are so incredibly excited to announce that we will be back for season 2 at the beginning of 2024. And on that note, we want to personally ask you all to rate, review, and especially share our podcast on Instagram and all social platforms. Having your feedback, engagement, and support is the singular thing that is keeping us going. And now that the strikes are over, we want to give everyone the opportunity to listen and gain whatever tidbits they can so we can all hit the ground running with lots of work in the new year.
As we dive into our second to last episode of the season, we had the amazing opportunity to chat with Jess Alford from United Agents. Jess is a talent agent at United, where she heads up the actors department.
United Agents is London's leading talent agency encompassing the world of film, television, books, theater, and comedy. Founded in 2007, it has become the largest agency of its kind in the UK, representing established and emerging artists. Wholly owned by its founding partners, United Agents offers clients dedicated specialist representation, bringing together leading agents from each field. Jess has been with the agency since its inception in 2007, having previously worked at Peters Fraser and Dunlop.
So grab a cocktail
Or a mocktail.
and enjoy.
All right. Hi, Jess. How are you doing today?
Hello.
Thank you for coming on. We're so happy to have you on with us today. And even after some technical glitches, you look gorgeous and we can hear you, so that's wonderful. We always start off our podcast by asking what you're drinking. So what are you drinking tonight?
I am drinking a glass of Beaujolais.
Oh, lovely,
Yeah.
lovely.
I've never had that before. Is that on the drier side or is it more full bodied?
Do you know what? I have no idea. It's just a really nice red. It's not too heavy. It's quite light. It's kind of it's a bit similar to a Pinot Noir, but a bit heavy.
Oh, okay.
That's nice.
Okay. I love that. Jessica. I was like, it's going to be tricky between you two. Jessica, what are you drinking tonight?
I'm actually doing a bit of double fisting. I have coffee on one side that I'm just about through, and on the other side, I have a lovely chilled white, which I'm not entirely sure what it is, because I don't know if you know Emma Gunnery.
Oh, yes.
So I'm staying with her while I'm here, and so she's poured me this glorious glass of white wine, and the most importantly, in a glass that says "Celebrate," because we have something to celebrate today with the strike being over.
At last.
Yes. So I'm excited to cheers to that for sure. But Jenn, what are you drinking?
I am on the Jess train. I have red wine, but so Jessica Sherman just was in London and she brought me this wonderful glass that has Tipsy Casting, our logo on it. So I'm using our fancy new wine glass with a red. It's just a red blend. It's that
you're much more generous in your portion.
Well, you hear it was funny. So I was pouring it and I was like, well, I don't know if you're going to be able to see the logo if I don't go all the way up.
Sure.
It's a great excuse. Perfect, Jenn.
That's what I told myself.
I love it.
Good though, honestly. It was like a perfect night for red. So
It
I
sure
love it. Well,
does.
ladies, we made it through the strike. I don't know how you're feeling about it, but I am more than elated.
Most definitely. It's such a relief to finally be through that hell, and not waking up in the morning frantically checking deadline to see if it is finally over. It actually
Yeah,
happened.
Yes,
yeah,
now we just
yeah.
need them to ratify, and I'm very curious about if the casting process has been addressed within the new agreement, since that was something that was a little bit of a point of contention, but we shall see what that looks like.
Yeah, yeah.
Definitely.
Okay, well, we always love to kind of hear how you kind of got started in the industry. So how did you become an agent? What like drew you to this crazy world that we all abide in?
Well, I didn't know what an agent was when I started. I had no clue whatsoever. I at university I read European studies in Italian. I thought I wanted to join the Foreign Office or become a spy, and soon realised that I probably wasn't made for that, and sort of faffed around for a little bit and ended up doing an internship at the Donmar warehouse, which I think it was supposed to be a month that I was there, and I ended up staying for 5. Um, and it got to a point where they were like, "This is ridiculous. We're not paying you any money. You need to go and get an actual job that pays." Um, and they were very kind and wrote to a few people, and one of them was an assistant at an agency who passed on my details to the office manager, and they happened to be looking for an assistant in the actors department. So I went along, not really knowing what I was doing, and got the job. And I remember saying to because when I was at the Donmar, I was working predominantly with the casting director, Anne McNulty, at the time, and I remember saying to her, "What is an agent?" Because I've got this job and I don't really know what, who or what. And she told me, and off I trotted, and I started as a second assistant to 3 agents, unbelievably, and was sort of dragged from pillar to post. And the agency at that time, it was PFD, Peters Fraser and Dunlop,
Okay.
and the constant for me was Ruth Young, so I was her second assistant, and slowly, well, the 2 other agents actually left the business, and then I was shared between Ruth and Dallas Smith, which was possibly one of the most stressful 6 months of my life.
I was going to say that is quite the burden to put on like an assistant's shoulder. Like
Yes.
they're 2 of the most iconic UK agents.
Yeah, it was hardcore for sure. And then it got to a point where Ruth was like, "This isn't, enough is enough. I need her for myself." So I then became her second assistant. And not too long after that, um, 72 of us decided that we weren't happy with the way that things were being run at PFD. And so we walked out and we set up United Agents. And that's coming up for, I think, 15 years ago. And at that time, I became Ruth's first assistant, and shortly thereafter, her associate. So started building my own list of clients around that point. And in fact, just this week, I found a ticket in my office for a show to go and see my client Sian Clifford, before I signed her, back in 2009. So
Wow.
that's come. Yeah, it was December 2009. I went to see her in a show at the National Theatre, and then signed her quite soon after that. And yeah, I've been at United since the genesis. I was part of the founding group of people who were involved in that. And I've been an agent in my own right for coming up for 11 years.
Oh, wow.
So,
I'm so curious just because I think that that's something that we learn for ourselves in any sort of craft that we're doing is the culture of what we grew up in and what we are okay with and not okay with and what we aspire to do. So I'm so curious that, the culture of the United to be like, what was the most important thing for the group of agents that were having this exodus from the previous company?
Well, we just weren't happy with the way that things were run. We were sold to a management company, sort of not long before I started at PFD, and I think it was a case of we weren't happy with the way that, well, where was our money going, essentially? And at that time I had no clue, because I was an assistant. I was just turning up and doing what I needed to do, and doing what I was told, including sneaking contracts out of the building when we were in the process of leaving, and doing all sorts of stuff that probably none of the assistants now would ever do. So I think that was at the crux of it, and we tried to buy ourselves back, but we didn't have any luck. And the company that owned us brought in a chairman who was he came from the world of football, and he, I think, made a terrible error in thinking that the client's loyalty was to the agency as it would be to the club, and didn't realise that the client's loyalty was actually to the agent. So every single client came with us.
Wow.
And that, the agency, PFD, still exists, but it's just a literary agency, which is how it started. That was the genesis of PFD, but it doesn't have a talent arm at all.
So when you moved over, did you have like a hand in creating the new culture for the agency to make sure like you guys didn't slip into the traps of the things you left at all, or?
Yeah, I think we all had a hand, or have had a hand in it, for sure, definitely. And we've all grown up there. So my peers, my immediate peers, we've all followed the same path and the same journey. And we've helped shape it. And that continues to kind of happen, listening to the younger ones coming through now and trying to change things. I think there's been, since we moved, there's been a much greater push for career development, and sort of career progression, in a way that just didn't exist when we were at PFD. No one got promoted. No one moved from being an assistant to an associate agent or to an agent. It was just the seniors and the assistants. That was it. But that's very, very different now.
That's great. I think that's something that we talk about quite often, is that there are very few places within the industry that there is that sort of mentorship and development for the younger generation. So that's great that you have sort of stuck to your crux on that and making sure that that's the consistency through the agency.
Definitely.
And I will say, when I moved over here at the beginning of the year, for as big as United is, because like in my mind before moving to the UK, United was kind of this, even though I dealt with, Dallas and Ruth and other people at the agency prior to moving, it's kind of like a CAA or a UTA or one of our big three. And you guys were I put out an email to all agents when I moved here. And I think Dallas was one of the first to respond, and he was like, "Come in for a coffee, let us meet," all this stuff. And I was like, "Holy cow! I feel like I'm being like led into the promised land." And then I get there, and everyone's so kind, so nice, and you guys remember who I am. I was like, it just was so welcoming. That for as big of an agency as you are, and the amounts of like really high profile people you rep, it does feel like you guys have always kept a sense, at least even to this day, of just like a welcoming community and a very down-to-earth vibe in your office.
Definitely. I think that's what we pride ourselves on. It's a very familial agency, and I think part of that is born out of the way that we kind of came about. We're basically one massive dysfunctional family. But I think, that's fantastic, and some of us have been working together for nigh on 20 years, some for even longer. And I think that's sort of testament to the culture and to the environment that we work in. You spend more time with your colleagues than you do with your family and friends, and it's actually a joy to go in and see them, and I count some of them as my closest friends.
Love that. I'm also so interested in sort of the space and how you approach seeking talent, because I think it's so drastically different from sort of the US market, because there seems to be an interest even on such a high level as United Agents, is the idea or artist that it is that you are willing to develop, that it's
Oh
not
God,
just
yes.
like trimming the top, it is from
Oh no, no,
bottom
no.
up.
100%, 100%. And if there's one thing that annoys me more than anything, is when the US reps come in and they're like, "Who's hot?" They just want to come in and
Us too, don't worry.
there's just no interest in developing, and that's really boring. That is part of the joy. It's time consuming and it can take years, but it's also the most satisfying part of the job.
Yeah.
And but the hardest part, I would say,
Yeah.
trying to find someone from drama school. But when it works, it works.
Yeah.
Is that where then
That's
you
like,
kind of scout talent and find the majority of it is out of drama school then?
It's a mix. It's a mix. I think probably when you're starting out as an agent, or and as an associate agent. So when you're an associate agent at United, you're still working as an assistant to your agent, but you're able to start building your list, with a view to hopefully stepping away and building your business. And I think at that point, you're probably more driven to going to the drama schools and seeing all of the shows. That's not to say that, we don't all do it. I would say that that's sort of, it happens at that stage more. And then it's people writing to you, it's casting directors maybe recommending you to actors who are looking to change representation. It could be friends of clients, or it could be just some random person. I mean, I think my favourite is a dad rang our reception and was asking somebody on reception, to speak to an agent about his daughter, because she had just landed a role in the film Radioactive with Rosamund Pike playing her daughter. And it just so happened that the girl on reception put him through to me, and I was like, well, okay, sure, and had a chat, and I took a punt. She came in, she was really interesting. I got really good feedback on her from Gina J and from Karen Lindsay Stewart, and she is she's the lead in the new Mark Forster film White Bird, which I hope will see the light of day. Unfortunately, the strike has rather got in the way of the release of that, because it was supposed to come out in the summer, and actually it shot 2 years ago, maybe even nearly 3 years ago. She was just doing her GCSEs, so she was 15 going on 16, and now she's starting her first year at university. But that was a chance that I took, and it paid off.
Yeah, I love
amazing.
that. I love that. Has there ever been anybody who's done anything crazy to get your attention in terms of getting you to sign them or getting you to a showcase or something like that?
I mean, back in the day when we only accepted postal submissions for representation, you would get all sorts of rubbish. And in fact, I feel like not that long ago, somebody dropped off a bag of sweets for everybody with a USB stick in the bag of sweets with their CV. But with the postal submissions, you'd open the envelope and there'd be loads of glitter, which I hated. One time I got sent it was like a slipper, like Cinderella's slipper, but just one, because they would have the other one. Really, really random stuff. And I hate the gimmicks. I mean, when this person did drop off all the sweets, everyone ate them. I mean, it took a moment because people were like, "Are they poisoned? Or is it safe?" But we all gave in and ate them. But I'm not sure if anyone actually looked at the USB stick, which is awful. But
I understand that though, because when I worked for April Webster for like
right.
6.5 years, something like that. And we were working on The Force Awakens. And there was somebody who sent in like a little USB stick that was in the shape of R2D2. And we were all terrified because we didn't know if there was a virus on this thing.
Well, exactly.
And so eventually the bad robot found like a computer that doesn't get used or something like that, and they plugged it in. And it was a very creative video, but it definitely put the fear of God in most people.
Yeah, well, no, but it does. And, we're constantly told not to open links, not to do this, not to open attachments. And you're like, well, but that's also half of the job, opening attachments. So when you get sent a USB stick and a bag of sweets, you are maybe, flying by the seat of your pants. Yeah, I'm not sure.
I did have an old boss who would not eat one edible thing, and I have no willpower, so it was like we would get something sent to us. But I used to tell actors in LA, I was like, either send it through like a company, like there was like milk cookies or something. So I was like, because if you send it through like them, then we know it's safe. But I was like, send like booze or something that we know we can open. Like
that's true. That's true. Yeah, we have got a few mugs in the cupboard in our kitchen, which actors have sent in with their faces on, in the hope that also you might take them on. Oh dear. I mean, I really feel for them because obviously you want to stand out from the crowd, but it verges on creepy.
A little bit sometimes.
So you've never had anyone stalk you, hopefully.
No, thank goodness. No. I have had a couple of people just try and pitch up to the office and say that they have a meeting with me, in hope that I might meet them for representation there and then. That doesn't work. Otherwise, it's more sort of slightly deluded fans that might turn up.
Yes, we don't recommend that at all for anybody.
No.
Only for scheduled. Sorry.
Definitely.
I mean, even when I go into agencies and I have a scheduled appointment, I'm always like a bit nervous.
Oh no!
Don't know why. So it's like always and it's not just United. It's like every reception desk always has the people behind it that are like just staring at you, and you're just like, I'm supposed to be here. I promise. I'm not crazy. I have an appointment.
Oh no!
They must deal with a lot.
They certainly do. They certainly do, and they're not pressing the panic button when you come into the office. Don't worry.
That's good news. So what would you say that, you've now been doing this for so long, what do you think that has become your favorite part of the job?
Oh, well, when it goes well, when when they get the jobs. No, it's riding that roller coaster with the clients and going on the journey with them, and from the moment of, I don't know, sending them a self tape or sending them off to an audition, hopefully, and it coming good and delivering the good news, and then actually seeing the results of that good news, be it something on stage, on screen, a big screen, a little screen. It is literally riding that wave with them. There's nothing better, and also, like with a new client or a new grad when they get their first job, that's just the loveliest moment, to be able to deliver those bits of good news, because at the moment we're delivering an awful lot of bad news,
or just no news is
no news.
Yeah, that I will say, I think that the thing that's really remarkable about UK representation is that you do an excellent job of really curating your actors' careers and making sure that there's balance, that it's not
Mm.
just, bottom line business, but that there is an artistry that is sort of woven through the whole journey. And I really applaud that. And I know Jen's talked about it a lot over the year that she's been there. But I
Yeah.
think it's really wonderful to be able to see and spotlight it even more.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think for most of us, it's sort of, we're always very keen that our clients don't take work for the sake of taking work, that they can really do something with it, and that it means something on whatever level.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be the big shiny jobs; it could be a little job, but something that's impactful. And I think also, so often their careers can be defined by the projects they say no to than the projects they say yes to. And, there have been moments for all of us where you're sort of like, oh God, really? You're going to say no to that?
Oh.
There goes my holiday home in the south of France. It's not about the money. And they do something else, but it's got to be right. It's got to do something. It's got to say something. And it isn't about the money, believe it or not. That's a
Yeah.
byproduct of what this business is. And yes, it's lovely when it happens, but it doesn't have to be about it.
So how have you seen the UK industry shift, I guess? Because I feel like you've gone through the whole like streamers coming over, and I always kind of joke that I feel like when I started my career, the UK was always kind of like the redheaded stepchild, where you're like, oh yeah, they're great and they have some good talent, but like then you had this clear shift, like maybe I want to say in 2015 or something, where streamers really started to come over, and then all this amazing content started coming out, and that's when, especially as a US casting director at the time, I started noticing so much of the rising talent was just so far surpassing the talent we were seeing in the States. So like how has that shift like impacted you?
Well, I think it's opened things up even more. And it's probably cheaper for the streamers to come over here and produce a lot of content out of the UK. I mean, let's face it, they do pay the Brits less money.
They do.
But it has opened things up massively, and I and that's fantastic because we've got a lot of amazing talent.
Do you see that growing even more so than what it has now, especially with the strike and everything?
I hope so. I think it will. I think it will. And I like, it's there's just so much going on everywhere. You've got stuff happening in and around London. You've got a whole lot of production happening in Wales. Scotland is flying as well, and now Ireland as well. So it's just it's great. It's great for all aspects of the industry. Not just for the actors, but for the crews and everything. And I think, in a sort of perverse way, as awful as Brexit has been, it has meant that quite a lot of production that would have traditionally shot in Europe has come back to the UK. And I'm I'm completely anti-Brexit. I think it's the biggest mistake we ever made. But you have seen some things come here, which is good.
I mean, to be fair, my lawyer told me on the phone when I first inquired about getting a visa over here, she was like, the only reason you're getting a visa to work in the UK is because of Brexit, because so many crew had to leave that then the UK government created the path for crew to come back a lot easier as long as you have the credits and the weight to pull yourself here. And that was fascinating for me to kind of learn, because again, we heard about Brexit. I didn't know the ins and outs of it because it happened when I was still living in the States. But then I was like, oh, fascinating, that I didn't realize all the, any European crew members or anything got kind of sent home. Like you have to go back to your countries and then reapply to come in, and a lot of them didn't.
Yeah.
So then the UK government was like, oh, let's figure out a way to get you guys back. That's not a really hard path.
Totally. So, a little benefit, but
yeah. Do you see though that there is this is what I'm curious, because I've gotten this question a lot since moving here, because everyone's like, should I get a US rep? And I always say no, and maybe I'm wrong in saying that because, and correct me if I'm wrong, but from what I understand is you guys have now the access. Like prior, again, a little bit maybe when the internet was newer, there was like a divide where like you only the UK rep saw what was happening in the UK or Europe, and then only the US saw what the US sees. And I feel like that has gone away. Correct me if I'm
Oh,
wrong. Like you can still
totally.
submit and get your clients in for all the US stuff.
100%. And I think because so much shoots over here as well that may be cast out of the US, they are coming to us. And I think actually they would prefer to deal with the UK reps than with the US reps.
100%.
We're a little bit we're a bit more honest.
Yes.
And I also think not just honest, you're accessible. I think that's the really
Yes.
challenging thing for us, especially when it comes to independent film. If you don't have a marquee director, or if you don't have a massive studio budget, it's much more challenging to
Yeah.
get their attention. And so what I've started doing, and maybe this is good, maybe this is bad, is I reach out to the UK side first, and then you guys loop me in with the American, which is hysterical because then you hold them accountable for whatever that project is, and
Yeah.
then they're engaging. And I think, yeah, it's a lot easier.
No, we see that all the time. But I think I sort of, well, I don't discourage it, but I would say if a client asks me about US representation, I would say it's not the be all and end all, and it has to be done at the right time. Don't you need to have that traction, and it goes back to what we were saying before. When US reps come in and they're like, "Who's hot?" They're not going to build with you unless they feel that there is really something there. But also the world is a lot smaller, and do you really need it?
Yeah.
Because you're giving away more of your money by having it.
It's amazing though to me every time I talk to an actor and they're just like, but it's like the US, it's LA. And I was like, where does this come from, guys? I was like, it is so much better. Like I was telling somebody this past weekend, because when Jess was in town, we had a meetup and lots of actors came and they're like, oh, I really want to end up in the States. And I was like, but why? It is like desolate there. I was like, you guys have so much more work and better work over here. It's kind of why I moved here.
Oh,
But there is
I know.
all like sparkle to it all.
It's
I
so
think
like,
I think they see it as the golden ticket, and it isn't always that. And listen, sometimes it works, and great, fantastic. You add value to the team, things open up. Quite often, when clients take on US rep, nothing changes and everything still comes from the UK, and you think, well, what are you doing? Because you're giving away an extra percentage of commission, and I'm dropping mine because of it. I don't think it's the golden ticket that it once possibly was. And listen, I think it also depends where you are in your career.
Yeah.
For those who are really flying, sure, of course.
Yeah.
Because
But at that
the
point, you
apps,
probably don't care if you're spending more of your commission.
well, exactly. It's a drop in the ocean. But you know that you'll have extra access to material and projects and contacts and all of that. But I'd say that we have built contacts with casting directors in the US, both in LA and New York, as well as producers. So it doesn't have to be separate teams.
yeah. I think it's also it's becoming really interesting to sort of see the production, like producer aspirations that a lot of actors have had, and that's something that you guys handle as well, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, we do.
Because I think that that's sort of the allure of like the CAAs of the world, is that they'll package your project or what, you'll have all that access. But again, it's like the industry is so much more global than it used to be, and everybody's all hooked up these days.
I know. It's sort of wild to think that, like, when I started, we were using VHS tapes and FedEx and having to convert PAL to NTSC on VHS, and I mean it was ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous, really.
Yeah.
And now you just press a button and off it goes. And that's not that long ago.
Yeah. What's been your sort of opinion on, because obviously I don't know how common it is for casting directors to be in person on the first round anymore in the UK, but what's been your sort of experience, and whether you enjoy it or not, the amount of self-tapes that are coming through now?
I think we all hate Monday morning.
Fair.
When it takes quite a long time before you can actually do your job. Well, no, you're doing your job, but you know your day to day, because you're going through all of the self tapes. I would say that here that the in person is happening more and more, even at the first round level.
Yeah.
And there are some casting directors who, whilst they may not be doing in person, they might be doing first round on Zoom. I hope we kind of get a bit away from the self tapes. I mean, it's great that it's opened things up. There is nothing better than being in the room, and some of our actors are terrible at self taping. Well, not terrible, but you know, you don't get the charm, you don't get the chit chat, you don't get that personal connection that you would get in a room. And also, they don't know what they're doing. They're not being directed. They're just interpreting it how they see it, you know, that it might be interpreted, which is fine, because obviously you do that in the room, but then you get the opportunity to be directed either by the casting director, or if you're lucky, with the director in the room. And then you're funnily enough, more of our clients bag their jobs when they're in the room.
Yeah. But it's that the sort of the long-term relationship of the industry, I think, is so much harder for the generation that is probably in development right now, that you
Yeah,
have no opportunity to build those relationships. And that
exactly.
is the saddest part of all of this, that we're so disconnected. And I think it further reinforces this narrative of the gatekeepers that casting is sort of um, depicted as, because we
Yeah.
just don't have that opportunity to get to know people.
No, 100%. And this business is based on relationships.
Yeah.
And if you're not building those relationships, then what's the point?
Yeah.
It's so
Absolutely.
true. It's so true. Well, speaking of that relationship, we always love to ask agents, what do you love and what do you hate about casting?
This is a safe space.
I is it?
No
Yeah.
judgment.
Always.
No, I love it when you have casting directors who are there to really fight the corner of the actor.
Mhm.
In all different aspects, be it in the actual casting process, or even in the negotiating process, because a lot of our deals over here in the UK are done with casting and not with business affairs. So if you've got a casting director who you know will fight that corner, you know you're always going to get the best deal you can through them. Casting director, things that I don't like: laziness, not coming to the theatre, not gunning for the actor, just, you know, clearly getting as many tapes or rounds because they're being paid for it.
Yeah.
I mean, I think there are few and far between who are like that.
Do you think there is more of a willingness now than there was maybe pre-COVID to see fresh faces, and like to really sort of lean into, because that's, for me, that's the thing that I love my relationships with the agents, because we've all most of us have grown up in the industry together.
Yeah,
The people that were assistants when I was an assistant, they're now the agents. And
exactly.
I know that they have integrity. I know that they have taste. I know all those things about them because I've gotten to know them on a personal level. So for me, when someone calls me and is like, Jessica, I just signed this person, you've got to see them. Like, I will do it because I need
Yeah.
to get a sense of them. So do you think that is a dominant thing, like the predominant, or do you think that's still not as common?
No, I think there are certain casting directors who you can call upon who will listen and
Yeah.
who will trust and who will see those people. I think one of the sort of downfalls of the pandemic and the push to kind of go down the self-tape route is, again, they're not seeing them in person. There aren't the generals that we might have been able to secure before for those newbies. Although I have to say that we have had a great deal of success getting casting directors to come to our offices and do a day of generals to meet those youngsters,
Yeah.
which I think really helps if we just orchestrate it and make it as easy as possible. But not everyone's up for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Makes
mean, I
sense.
will say I've met quite a few of your young talent and they're just lovely. Like they're really eager and so charismatic when you meet them.
Yeah.
But a lot of the feedback I got when I was talking to not only your clients but other clients from different agencies was they were like, it was almost like, what do I do? And I was like, oh, you're
I
such a
know.
baby. And I was like, you
I
don't know. And I was like, it's just a conversation. That's it.
Yeah.
I think it's, don't
Yeah.
be scared. And they're just like, we didn't know. Should we prepare for something? Should we? And
I
I was like,
know.
no, it's okay. It's just a chat so I can get to know you a bit more. And then they would loosen
It,
up and then I would like find out their life story. And it's just like, you can just tell how good people are. Like I always tell the story of my very first general as an independent casting director in LA was with an Irish actor and who
oh,
happened to be over just promoting something. And I remember just sitting with him and he had that thing where you're just like, you're good. I don't even need to see you act. Like you're good. There's something about you that you just want to watch and engage with. And then cut to a few years later, I read him for one of my films and he got the lead role of it. So it's just like, I miss that aspect of casting, of just like being in a room and fully engaging with actors to really, because you get, even on our side of things, you get such a feel for that. So I don't understand when casting directors are like, I don't need that.
I know, it's bizarre, isn't it? Because you meet those people and then you're casting a project further down the line and you're like, oh my god, yes, that person who was great, you know, da 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 da. It's sort of, it's all of that, and you cut that out, and then what's the point?
Yeah, I think that like being able to get a sense of someone's essence in a very low pressure, no pressure environment is crucial.
Yeah.
And so the fact that you know, for us, I think in the States, we're definitely, I think it was more common in the past to do it all the time with local, non-local talent, but I think it's definitely become one of those things where if an actor is in from out of town, then it's, you know, at least I grew up in an office that was very eager to meet
Yeah,
all international talent as much as possible. So there's definitely that appetite for sure.
definitely. And it will be good when everyone over in LA is braver to do it in person as well.
I love doing them in coffee shops. That's all I'll do.
Great.
Yeah.
Perfect.
You let me know when you
Perfect.
have anyone in town.
I
I'm ready.
will. Absolutely. You'll be the first person I call.
I was like, Jess now knows who to reach out to.
Exactly.
I am curious if you've gotten this because since again it's been a little bit since I've seen you last, but so I've been here a little bit longer, and I've noticed this kind of divide in casting here, where you have like the older echelon of people who are great and they've been around forever, and then you have like the mid levels who are like doing really good, have a some Netflix shows or something, and they're just like killing it. A bit more maybe approachable, a little bit more
Mm-hmm.
modern in their approach to life. But
Yeah.
then there's this huge divide to like casting, and we got this from a different agent where there may be like 1 or 2 years as an assistant or associate, and then they're like all of a sudden they're like, I'm a casting director. And I was in with a general with an agent probably 2 weeks ago, and he was like, they're now putting on breakdowns like, don't call the office, don't do this.
Oh, I
And
can't.
he's like, yeah, and I'm just like, wait, that's not even casting. And I'm like, how are these people who are no experience, have no idea even how to negotiate a deal, calling themselves casting directors? Have you encountered that at all?
Yeah, no, definitely. And I absolutely hate the message on a breakdown saying don't call. You're like, well,
What?
that, that isn't that my job? Isn't that how we do this? What?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, it just sort of it's bonkers. It's
Yeah.
absolutely bonkers. And
Mm.
yes, I mean, you know, you get you get casting directors who were assistants 5 minutes ago, and then suddenly they're off flying, and you sort of think, really?
We say the same thing. But I will say, I think there's because in the States, like every office I've ever worked in has always said submit electronically only, do not
Right.
call. But like, we're resigned to the fact that we're going to get calls. Like, it's not a horrible thing by
Yeah.
any means, because that's what we need. We need to be pitched, not only submitted to. So, but from what the conversation was that we were having with the other agent, that they're apparently incredibly rude if you do call.
No, you can get that. It depends who it is, but you certainly can sort of get a bit of a sharp response. But also you achieve much more on the phone. You know, I think that's also something that needs to come back a little bit more post-COVID.
Yeah.
Taking things off email and actually speaking on the phone, you get much more done. You get it done more efficiently, and you cut through all the bullshit. And
Yeah.
things can be so misconstrued on email. Just pick up the phone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But also it's like you also get to hear the rep's passion for their clients. And I think that is so captivating when you're going through the pitching process. Because I mean, I would always, yes, you email me, you submit, you email, you do all the
Yeah.
things, and then you get the call and you're like, okay, let's go through your submissions. And you go through it on the phone and you get a sense of where these people are at. And you have that conversation of prototypes and what people have been responding to. And then you know that the agent will be like, oh, you know what, never mind, they're not right for it. Or this
Yeah.
one's better, you know. So to have that conversation is so valuable.
Totally. And then as an agent, you think, oh my God, I just really did my job because I spoke to somebody and they actually want to see them or have them tape. And you're like, oh, a little pat on the back to me. And it's so easy.
Yeah.
So easy because, you know, as casting directors, you must get thousands and thousands of submissions when those breakdowns go out. How on earth do you get people to stand out from the crowd in the same way as when we get thousands of representation requests? How do you stand out?
Exactly. And I think that sometimes people forget that we have a relationship as well. It's not just you're just calling every now and again. Like there are agents that I really truly love to chat to. And I'm like, when I see
Yeah.
their name pop up on my phone, I'm like, oh, this is going to be fun. Like, because it's not just a, direct like pitch or, it's not very sterile or anything. And again, there is that respect of like, we know what our team's looking for. And as soon as we can relay that in a proper way, we can all get on the same page and then move forward. And I've had so many times where agents are like, Jen, I hear you. However, I just really need this guy to come in and try. And I'm like, all right, sure. Like if that's what at the end of the day, if you understand that maybe really he or she's not what we're looking for, fine. But then, and there's like a respect there. And I think that gets lost when you take it away and you just put it in email or because I've had agents respond where I was like, so sorry, this isn't right. And they'll be like, why? And I was like, why don't you give me a call? I will tell you why, but I'm not going to write out an email why I think each of your 20 submissions
Oh gosh.
are not right.
Yeah, and I think that's something that we find when we find those reps that are super intentional with their submissions. That I mean, I don't know if they exist here in the UK, but in LA, there's definitely some key agents that they literally, you absolutely know they're throwing spaghetti at the wall, and there's their entire list is submitted, men, women, non-binary, it doesn't matter, even whatever the role is requiring, they just throw it out, and that's it.
No, I totally see that. And I even see that with colleagues, to be honest, when you're going on Spotlight and you see the same name being submitted for all of the roles and you're thinking, have you actually thought about this? Or are you just, push, hoping that one of these things might give, but you haven't actually paid attention to what is being looked for?
Yeah, but that's how you build the rep with casting,
Yeah.
That's like, we trust your taste because you are being very specific and thoughtful with your submissions.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's very interesting.
I'm out of curiosity, have you ever thought about doing anything outside of agenting? Or have you always kind of been like, I found my niche right away?
I think now that I've been sucked in, apart from winning the lottery and retiring, I can't really see myself doing anything else. it's so right. I mean, it's just, it feels like the right place.
Yeah.
And I think I'm not surprised. Well, I'm not surprised I ended up, I landed here. Because when I was growing up, my parents took me and my brother and sister to the theatre from a very young age. It was a world that I've been exposed to forever.
Mm.
And yeah, I was having this conversation with a colleague actually the other day. I'm sort of thinking, well, what if I did give up? What on earth would I do? I just,
Such a
I just,
specific set of skills, really.
yeah. And then like I had my 25th school reunion and a 25th, I don't know, 25 years since I left school, which makes me feel sick. And we had a little WhatsApp group going before it happened, because essentially the majority of us hadn't actually seen each other since we left school 25 years ago. And people were revealing what jobs they did, and when I said what I did, everyone was like, this is absolutely what you should be doing and is completely right. And I was thinking, really? I'm not sure. I don't know how that, how these sort of, maybe because I read Hello magazine all the time at school and was obsessed with celebrity. But to be honest, I don't really care about celebrity now, because if ever I get a representation request from somebody who just says, I want to be famous, I'm like, I don't care. I don't want you anywhere near me. Thank you. Goodbye.
Oh, that inspires another question, because that was
Oh,
something that we
yeah.
get often, is like social media aspect, because this is the era of the influencer and all of that business that I couldn't be less interested in. But what is like sort of the agency like perspective on that? Is that something you encourage your clients to pursue? You seek out for your clients? Like, what is that side of things?
I couldn't really care less about social media.
Same.
And whether or not my client posts or my clients post, I'm always quite delighted when they don't. Or if they don't have any social media channels at all, or that it is only work related. I think it's just, I find it really depressing if a campaign or a role is based on the number of followers you've got on Instagram, because who really cares? Nobody at the end of the day. Yeah.
And that's not something that you're finding like productions or casting directors in the UK seeking at any point, or not?
I think
Predominant?
it's probably more on the branding side of things and commercial side of things, rather than actual roles in film and TV. Certainly you are finding language creeping into contracts about posting on social media channels, which I try and push back on if I can, because I really don't feel that anyone should be obliged to post. That should be a person
for the project.
Well, exactly.
You should
Because
negotiate
you've got
that later down the road if you want to.
Yeah. I mean, I had a wild one recently on a theatre contract, where they were being told how many posts they were expected to do through the duration of the contract, which I just thought was a bit, no.
That's another job.
Exactly. And also I think because social media it sort of skates, doesn't it, between personal and public. And I think there's got to be some separation there.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's a strange one.
Talking about sort of the contract language, we had this discussion with someone while I was in London about sort of how the AI aspect is creeping into the language. We were talking, actually, a couple of agents that I had seen while I was there, that there was like a meta project that like that was in like a virtual reality space sort of thing, and that it's in the project, and they're sort of beginning to try to trick actors to come get scans outside of their agents knowing. And it's like, I'm so interested from your perspective, like, how are you all taking a proactive stance as you get through this, like, to prepare your actors to be weary of that, because that when you're a younger actor who's in development, you just don't know any of these
Yeah.
things.
I mean, I think it's just remembering to tell your clients
Yeah.
that if you get pulled aside to be scanned in some random van, say no, or just call us. But it's really concerning, and it is happening. And the language is creeping in. The sort of simulated language is creeping in, and so it's a constant battle, and something that we're, you cannot be complacent when you're going through contracts. Not that you would be anyway, but you have to be really switched on. And we're not trained lawyers.
Right.
We're learning as we go, and you have to keep looking, and you have to keep talking. And I think UK agents are really good at that. At talking not only within their own agency but across agencies. We have the PMA, the Personal Managers Association, and there are emails on a daily basis going out to agents via the PMA, checking about things like AI and scanning and what have you, and we try and get together to fight it, in a way that I just can't see happening in LA. I don't know. I'm not sure. Would CAA and UTA work together to fight that?
I don't know if they're working together, but I do think as far as like the SAG-AFTRA negotiations with AMPTP,
Of
they were
course.
very communicative with the union, even if not with each other. But I think it's going to be very interesting once SAG-AFTRA sets precedent of how much will be affected when equity is renegotiated.
It will be, and I think we will ultimately benefit from the SAG renegotiation, which is a positive thing. As in, I think some of that will filter through with the equity renegotiation.
Yeah, hopefully.
I hope so.
It's been a long journey.
God, it has. Jeez, what a year!
It's over.
Let it ratify before we say it's over. Okay.
I know, because we as an agency, we pulled back on any posting on social media with screen work, well, scripted, film and TV, and our social media manager asked me when we found out yesterday. Was it yesterday? I can't.
It feels like a lifetime.
That it was over. I know, it really does. And I was like, actually, let's just wait until it's ratified, until we resume posting, because it would be dreadful if something went wrong.
Well, and I will say too, I feel like that's a smart move, on top of the fact that Instagram was like a deluge of like over, like yesterday, I was like, you can't even get through your post because every actor is posting, oh, by the way, so here's everything I've done for the past 4 months that I couldn't promote.
I know.
And I'm like, I just didn't even look at it, because I'm like, this is just so much. I was like, wait like 5 days and then
I know. But I feel for them, and I have clients who haven't been able to promote and post and sing from the rooftops about really wonderful projects, and it seems so unfair. And now finally, they can.
My heart broke for like all those films and series and stuff that really was spotlighting underrepresented communities and stories, that they couldn't celebrate the work, like Blue Beetle, where it was all Latin actors and filmmakers, and the Persian version that's just come out. So hopefully it's not too late and they can still celebrate in some capacity, but made me sad.
I think it's going to be a manic few weeks. Sort of award season mania is really going to kick in.
Yes.
In an extreme way.
I read a Facebook post that a friend posted the other day that was like, release the publicists. That's it.
I know, I do feel
like
for
a
them.
meme coming out of it where it's like somebody's just like holding them back, and then they're like, release.
Oh no. It is just like that. I mean, yesterday on a client, it just, between the two teams of publicists, it just went bananas.
Yeah.
They were finally released to get on with things.
Yeah. Oh, well, this has been
Amazing.
fun. We don't want to keep you so long out of your night because you've been so generous with us. But we do
Oh
have
God,
one
no, it's fine.
question that we ask
Yes.
all our guests. It's very important. So we always ask if the world is going to end tomorrow, which thankfully it's not anymore. But what would be your cocktail or drink of choice to cheers the end of the world to?
Champagne. Always.
Yes, you're the first person who said that on our podcast.
What?
Yeah.
Usually
Are you kidding?
it's a very heavy drink typically,
Yes.
not so light and bubbly.
Oh no, champagne is absolutely my drink of choice, and I was going to have a glass. I had some in the fridge, but it was flat.
Oh.
So I it sat down in my kitchen. Just, well, I'll probably drink it after this. But it was a champagne. My friends and colleagues know that bubbles are
Make you happy.
oh yes. Yes.
Good
They
to know. If
do.
any of your clients are listening to this, it's what you should get Jess for Christmas.
Please do, because my champagne supply is diminishing, and it needs topping up.
Yes, I love it.
Some magnums, please. Thank you.
Amazing.
What about you? What's your end of the world drink of choice?
So I am
My-
a bourbon old fashioned. I like bourbon.
They're dangerous.
I know, but they're so good.
I had a very, very messy night with Kirk Whelan Foran drinking old fashions in New York. It didn't end well.
You probably have the best stories from it.
Maybe. What about you, Jess?
My normal go-to is a dirty Grey Goose martini, which is always very fun, and you get the olives, so it's a snack as well. But I did, while I was in London for the first time, I tried a Negroni.
Oh,
And it was nice. I think it's like, it still gives you the punch that you need. It works its way in, but it was good flavor. I really liked it.
nice. Was that at
Yeah.
Soho House by any chance?
I'm like, what did I have at Soho?
No, you didn't. You had the
No.
champagne martini, which was really good.
Oh, what was the bar that we went to that I had the Negroni?
Oh,
The one down the street?
It was Homeboy Bar in Islington.
Oh,
Have you heard of it?
Oh, I'm a South London girl. I don't know the North.
I love it.
It's
No
foreign
north.
country up there.
Yes, but the this bar, I think it was an Irish pub, right?
It was, yeah.
Yeah.
It was really
Very
good.
good.
Yeah, it's
Very
nice.
good. Excellent.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much. It was such a pleasure chatting with you and getting to hear all your fun stories.
Likewise.
Yeah. Well, thank you. And we'll cheers to a wonderful weekend and hopefully
Celebrate.
things moving along.
Yes, please.
All right, cheers, ladies.
Thanks, guys.
Cheers.
Cheers.